We're gonna make a nice, great, crunchy crust. We don't want a soggy catfish. Dislocated my spoon here. Hi, my name is Quita Barnett, and today we're gonna cook fried catfish and polenta, and I'm gonna have a side of collard greens cooking in the background. It's something that we cook home fairly often just to remind us of back home and just that, you know, that family gathering and just cooking in my grandma's kitchen. We just all picked a dish and she kind of gave us the instructions and we kind of went from there. We're gonna start on our polenta. Pour our milk in the pan, not all the milk, because as your polenta's cooking, you might need to add some here and there just to check for the consistency. Heavy whipping cream, and I'm gonna pour that in. 2 tablespoons of butter. Make sure that butter melts. It's actually boiling now, and so that's actually good. What I want to do is just pour in half of this water, and then you actually want to grab your polenta, slowly pour that into the pan, because if you pour all of it in at once, it's actually going to clump and melt. Make sure it's simmering. It should start to thicken up at this point, which is what you kind of really want to see. If it does get a little bit chunky, that's why we left a little bit of the water and milk out, just to make sure your consistency is like really creamy, really smooth. That's the consistency you actually want to check for. We're gonna move over to catfish. I love catfish. I have right here just 1 fillet of catfish. When you get your catfish, you want to just make sure you rinse it, kind of pat it down and dry a little bit. I'm actually going to cut it into smaller portions with my knife here. What I'm actually going to do next is actually going to season the catfish. Boy, you need to know your seasonings. My grandma would get mad at us and my mom if we didn't have seasoned catfish or right seasoned catfish. So cooking is my happy place because what it does for me is like it just reminds me of family. And my grandma was pretty much the glue of the family. Like everyone would actually come to her house, and everyone actually called her granny. I want to be just as great as her. And this is going to be, so when we actually put it into that batter, again, we're going to make a nice, great, crunchy crust on the outside of the catfish. We don't want a soggy catfish. Next, I'm actually going to get started on my batter. I'm actually going to pour the cornmeal in, half flour. And again, you're going to put half of that in there just in case if you need that later. All the rest of the seasonings that we have left over from seasoning our catfish, we're going to throw that in. You gotta want to shake that around a little bit. You want to turn it on to a medium high. My grandma actually cooked with vegetable oil, so we're going to stick to that. Pour it in, pour it in, pour it in. And then while that pan is getting nice and hot, what I'm actually going to do next is I'm actually going to take my fillets and I'm actually going to just dump them in batter. You kind of want to just make sure they're like nice and coated. So now I'm actually checking my polenta. My grandma didn't use this, but I actually like to use cheese. I'm using sharp cheddar cheese. You can use another cheese of your choice. And what I'm actually going to bring over is my baking rack. So I'm going to take my fillets that I have in my batter and I'm actually going to evenly lay them out. So I'm going to check my temperature. All right, we're about 330 now, which is good temperature. Take one of my fillets, I'm actually going to place it in there. And so as you see, when I place it in the pot, it starts frying right away. If yours is not doing that, then you definitely need to turn your heat up a little bit more. So I'm going to put all of these in here. My grandma and me and her spent a lot of time together. Everyone in the neighborhood would kind of walk past and say, "Hey, Granny." So she would, you know, welcome people into her home to also eat if they didn't have a meal. But that was my very favorite person. So she was just a big part of my life and I miss her tremendously. The catfish doesn't take long to cook, so we're actually going to flip them. You kind of want to make sure the outside is nice and crispy. Looks like some of our catfish is actually done. So I'm actually going to take them out and I'm going to place them on the baking rack. I'm actually going to move this pan to the back because now we actually want to check on our polenta. So now that we kind of got the polenta, you see like this nice creamy texture. That's actually what we want for our polenta. I cooked for Microsoft a couple of times, especially for those just like my grandmother. If they don't have family here or they don't know how to cook, I open my doors to them as well. And so I do have something called Welcome Home, and I have a call every month, and it's pretty much just running down all the internal resources for new hires or if they're transferred just to the Pacific Northwest. And we kind of talk about a lot of external resources to get them plugged into the community. So I'm just trying to virtually continue that just with the new employees. It's just to give back to them for all the things that I learned in my transitions. That looks so delicious. At this time, you can put a little bit of parsley on there, a little bit of pepper, with a little bit of salt. and kind of just want to get a nice piece of catfish, and you actually just want to sit that on top there. And there you have your fried catfish and polenta and your side of collard greens. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy. If you want to see more, make sure to check out MicrosoftLife.com. See you later.